Hey, what's up? This is Antman here. Outside of jackets, there aren't really that many iconic techwear pieces, but one of them, strangely, has nothing to do with outerwear at all. It is in fact a vest, specifically the Guerrilla Group Grid Tank. The Grid Tank, as the name might imply, is a long line vest with a grid pattern on it. You may well have seen this before if you've been looking around for techwear images on the internet, because quite a lot of the most iconic or the most high profile images do actually use it, and for that reason it spawned quite a few imitations. So I do have one here, specifically the 17S ES TKO3, so thank you very much to Guerrilla Group for sending me that over for the purposes of this video, and I wanted to use it to answer a couple of questions. What are the reasons for this vest's popularity? Why does it show up so much in techwear? Why is it so iconic? What do I think of it? And what kind of scenarios could you wear this? How could you put this into a techwear outfit? I think the popularity is down to a few reasons. First of all, there's no denying the snowball effect, where someone might wear it in quite a high profile picture, quite a cool techwear outfit, very solid tech ninja fit, which ends up getting shared a lot, and then more people take inspiration from that, they start wearing it, and so on and so on. And eventually you end up with a whole selection of photos which are all wearing very similar clothes. It helps that the grid pattern is so distinctive, so it makes it very easy to identify and very easy to notice when it starts showing up in quite a few techwear outfits. So I think that makes it more easily become part of a standard techwear uniform. Also, there's no denying that Guerrilla Group are a pretty big brand in the world of techwear, certainly. So that association alone definitely gives it some extra points. If people know that something is from Guerrilla Group, then they think, oh well, this is probably going to be a suitable item of clothing for techwear. So those factors might explain why it shows up so frequently now, but there must be some kind of initial reason that sparked interest in it, or some kind of inherent characteristic that made people want to buy it in the first place. It's not just an accident that something like this becomes so popular. Using layering is pretty common in techwear. It gives outfits extra complexity. It also gives the sense, I think, of preparedness, like there's lots of different layers for lots of different situations. And this is one point where the Guerrilla Group tank works pretty well. Because of its extended length, it's pretty much always visible underneath other things. Because it's a vest, of course, it doesn't really add too much weight to techwear outfits, so it's pretty easy to incorporate. Also, taking a look at the pattern, it makes things a little bit more visually interesting by breaking up those all black looks with a little bit of pattern going on, but whilst keeping that monochrome color palette. Even the grid itself, to me, evokes some kind of technological cyberpunk themes. It kind of reminds me of Tron, or like one of those graphs that you put waveforms on. All of those ideas, of course, are very techwear friendly, so lends themselves even further to this vest being incorporated into techwear outfits. It's not all about aesthetics though. I hear you cry. Techwear is also about performance. Of course that's right, and of course there's a limited amount of performance that one can expect from a vest. However, do remember that this vest is not just cotton, it's made from a cotton tencel blend. Tencel is made from natural fibers which are then spun into very, very small nanofibers. This means that it's very breathable, it's pretty lightweight, it's comfortable, it tends not to wrinkle as much as other fabrics do, and it tends not to smell as much as other fabrics either. So in theory, you'll need to wash and iron this less than a traditional cotton t-shirt. All those factors combine to make it fairly easy to see why something like this could end up as an iconic piece of techwear clothing. But what do I think about my own one, the 17S ES TKO3 specifically? Well, I opted for the squared off hem at the bottom purely because I feel like with the rounded one, it can end up looking a little bit like an apron, especially if you're wearing it with other things that have a square hem. And obviously I did want to avoid that, but if you have a lot of things in your wardrobe that also have a rounded hem, then perhaps you could consider going for the rounded one as an alternative. I also opted for the diagonal grid as opposed to the horizontal one, just to make it a little bit different to what is the most popular style of this grid tank. These fit fairly oversized. I went down to a size M. Normally I would take a large for this kind of thing, and while it's still very, very extended, it's not super baggy on the torso or anything. It's quite a nice fit there. The material feels pretty nice and it feels very comfortable to wear. It's a bit of a subtle difference compared to cotton, but it is definitely noticeable. The grid panel at the bottom has been stitched on separately, and this part has raw edges. The pattern itself has been silk screen printed on, I believe. It's not just kind of stuck on like you would see with a graphic tee or something. So in theory, this should hold the pattern fairly well, even when you're putting it through the wash. Other parts of this vest have raw edges as well, although those parts are backed with some stitching that's about 1 centimeter or so into the vest itself, so that will limit the amount that those raw edges can fray. Shape-wise, it's a very full-looking vest. It has quite square shoulders. It doesn't have a racer back or anything, which gives it quite a masculine look, I think, and that also makes it fall quite well. In terms of the hem at the bottom, it's asymmetric, so the back of it is slightly longer than the front, and there's quite a big slit cut out of the middle, so that makes it pretty easy to wear. It's not too, it doesn't hug your legs or anything, and it makes it pretty easy to move around as you do. Also, not that you're that likely to make use of it, but there is a pocket on the chest as well. And aside from that, it's all pretty much as expected. It is a vest at the end of the day. And although that retail price of $80 for this vest is pretty high, we do have to remember that this is Guerrilla Group, and all of their things tend to be fairly premium price. So with that in mind, it's pretty much in line with the rest of their stuff. There's no getting around the fact that $80 is expensive for a vest, even if it's using that tensile material, even though it's got that grid pattern printed on the bottom, and there's a few other cool features in there as well. It's difficult to call a product like this good value when you're looking at it as a product in itself, but it lends itself to techwear outfits pretty nicely. So if you look at it from that perspective and the amount of use that you would potentially get out of it if you wear techwear a lot, then maybe that's a little bit easier to justify. I can certainly picture myself just throwing this into quite a lot of outfits willy-nilly, just for a little bit of cool extra detail that you wouldn't otherwise have. You could argue that the Guerrilla Group tank is a bit passé. People do refer to it as the meme tank because people see it so much in those often shared techwear outfits, and they think, oh yeah, I want to imitate this style, that's one of the pieces that I want to get, and I want to own that so I can look exactly like in those techwear pictures. And it's true, within the techwear space, these tank tops are seen quite a lot. They're fairly commonplace. But within a wider sense, in streetwear or fashion generally, of course, something like this doesn't really come up quite as often. So I think it's important to have that sense of scope when you're looking at a vest like this. Some of those more hardcore techwear types might think, oh, I'm not really interested in this vest anymore. I've seen it 100 times in different outfits already. But I like it personally, and if you like it, then don't let that stop you. Now, to round this video out, how might you go about wearing the Guerrilla Group Grid Tank? Well, as I kind of mentioned a lot already, its main strength is in its ability to layer. So you get one of those classic Tech Ninja fits going, you stick a vest underneath it, and it's going to add a little bit more detail, a little bit more visual interest, and break up the all black with that grid pattern. This works very nicely with all black gear, of course, and things with double zips, I think, as well, because you can allow that grid to be shown off a little bit more. The other thing the double zip prevents is if you wear something too tight underneath a layering piece, it can kind of turn it into a bit of a skirt and like billow it out, which is something that you want to avoid. So in general, if you're wearing this vest, make sure that the piece that you're wearing over the top is a little bit oversized or a bit relaxed fitting, and it will stop that awkward skirt thing happening. You could also include the grid tank in an outfit without a jacket to make it a little bit warmer and to add a little bit of cool extra detailing as well. You'll notice in that this outfit, pretty much everything that I'm wearing is super plain, but just that grid tank alone, and in fact the bag as well, those two things combined, I think evoke a pretty decent techwear kind of look to me. Those are the two main options for me, layering it underneath different things with different amounts of things going on over the top. But there is a third option if you're feeling particularly brave, and that is ditch any outerwear layers or anything over the top of this at all, and just rock the vest by itself. If it's pretty hot out, but you still want to get that Tech Ninja look across, then this is definitely something to consider. Pro tip though, make sure you get ripped before trying this, because if you've got little noodle arms like me, then you're not going to get the best out of a kind of outfit like this. I think the body is really layer zero on this, so you want to be showing that off. Also, because of its length, a drop crotch, an extended length short, I think would lend itself quite nicely to this as well. Probably a bit longer than what I've got on in this little example. You could just wear an oversized t-shirt over the top of this though, and then that would help alleviate some of those problems whilst keeping it still quite light and quite summer appropriate. And hopefully that is absolutely everything that you wanted to ever know about the Guerrilla Group Grid Tank. So thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know what you thought about it. Let me know your thoughts on the Grid Tank as well. I think this is potentially going to be one of those polarizing things where some people will be in the I've seen this loads in techwear outfits already camp, and other people will be in, yeah, you know what, I think this is quite a key part of techwear, and I think it's a really good thing to have in your wardrobe. Personally, I'm in the latter camp. You know, you don't have to wear it every single day or in every single outfit, but I think it's a pretty cool thing to rock and to get out there, and it just makes things a little bit more interesting. If you enjoyed this video, please do give it a like, and of course I will be back next week with another video. So in the meantime, keep yourself hydrated, and I will see you in the next one. Shout out to Jackdaw. The weakness of living your life exclusively on the internet is that you very rarely get to hear people actually say these words out loud, so I do often get them wrong, so thank you for those corrections. And shout out to Matt Moot. I agree, Fjallraven is pretty cool, although people probably only know the brand because of those little backpacks that were designed for school children. They have some cool jackets and other outerwear pieces as well, so another brand worth checking out for sure. If you enjoyed these videos, you want to catch some more, they will of course be going up there, little boxes that you can click on, provided you haven't disabled them of course. And if you haven't subscribed, but you've been enjoying these videos recently, then why not do that? Hit the little button over there, and you can be notified when the next cool techwear videos come out.